Here's this week's Steam Code Raffle winner. I give a Steam code for a free game away with every video I do, and all you have to do to enter is leave a comment that wouldn't violate Twitter's terms of service. Make sure you have contact info in your YouTube profile so I can reach out to you. A complete list of games to choose from is in the description below. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a chance to win. Now on with the show. I'm playing something almost every week, and sometimes I want to talk about it and give you a vertical slice. So stick with me for some lightning reviews. This week on the chopping block. This week, I've been playing the Dragon Ball Z Budokai collection on PlayStation 3. I was initially planning on playing Temtem, which just came out for consoles. The package seemed promising, being an off-brand version of Pokemon and an MMO. I may still do that, but unfortunately GameStop corporate heads have been continuing to make blisteringly stupid decisions other than just selling NFTs of 9/11. I got some background information saying that they made significant revamps to their distribution methods, but in the process basically screwed over anyone who wanted a pre-order for certain titles for about a month, so I only acquired it a couple of days ago. However, after utterly failing to grasp JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, I decided to go back to one of the few fighting game series that I was able to have any degree of competence with. The Dragon Ball Z Budokai collection on PlayStation 3, also available on 360, is essentially just a port compilation of the first and third games in the series. I'm docking points for not including 2. I genuinely love goofy fusions like Tiencha and Gokul, but whatever. Obviously, the single-player campaign follows the Dragon Ball Z anime of the same name. Believe it or not, I've never actually seen the entirety of the anime. Pretty much all of my experience and familiarity with the basic arcs initially came from these games, which may be preferable because I've never had to deal with filler. The single-player campaigns for both games follow Goku, Vegeta, and the other Z fighters through their battles, although Budokai 1 only goes up through the Cell saga, which is far from the end of the series. Budokai 3, on the other hand, includes parts of Dragon Ball GT, which I know can be polarizing for fans, so take that for what you will. Now, let's take a minute to dissect the nuts and bolts and dive into one key question someone might have. Why did this game manage to hook me while so many other fighting games failed to do so? If you'll allow me to speculate, the fighting mechanics were well designed and based around a standard gaming controller as opposed to traditional arcade 2D fighters, which were based around an oversized fight stick arrangement. Going into detail, Budokai games have a relatively basic control style which I think is rather easy to grasp. On PlayStation, square is to punch, triangle is to kick, circle is to implement an energy attack, and X is to initiate defensive maneuvers. The punch and kick buttons can be slightly modified by pressing the forward or back direction at the same time as an individual punch or kick press, and by simply repetitively pressing those buttons, you activate combos. The game also starts off very easy by only giving you the most basic of combos to initiate special moves. I've always found other fighters rather convoluted with things like quickly move the joystick back and forward then press light punch, or quarter turn plus 2 specific buttons then one other. They also usually drop all those combos on you at the very start, causing new players to be overwhelmed. The Budokai games were very good at pacing out their more advanced mechanics and allowing you to pick them up naturally, in addition to having AI that fluctuated much more naturally with the learning curve initiated by the fighting mechanics. If I had to have some complaints with the individual games in this collection, they would be as follows. The original Budokai seems like a base-level product with very little beyond a minimum shippable product. Even the graphics seem archaic with what came later. Not only that, but the fighting mechanics are lacking certain nuances that lead to significant frustration that was eliminated by subsequent titles. There was still plenty of subtle complexity to give you an edge in a fight, but there was also very little to counter or turn a match around if you had a bit of bad luck at the start. A complaint I have with both games is the degree with which I have to grind to unlock all content. Especially the first Budokai, which was particularly egregious, with every single skill having to be unlocked 9 times in order to complete the game. As for an individual complaint with Budokai 3, the only one I can really conceive of, which is a complaint unique to the compilation, is that they replaced the intro song from the PlayStation 2 version, which I thought was good enough to warrant playing every time I turned on the game. From what I understand, there was a bit of accusation of plagiarism from the composer when it came to making certain songs, but that doesn't change the fact that I thought the song was a banger. In one final side note, I threw some shade last week on the Tenkaichi series, and I'll quickly summarize my feelings as follows. The Tenkaichi series was worse because they sacrificed fighting mechanics for movement mechanics in Spectacle, and the game suffered as a result. To me, the only place where it was better was by the end where they had such an expansive roster where you could play as such a wide spectrum of extras such as Frieza Minion number 3. When they start including so many characters that are only different on a skin level, you can see that they weren't giving the mechanics quite so much thought. So there you have it, a brief dissection of one of the few fighting games I ever cared to get good at, and why I like it. Now if you'll excuse me, since I have that copy of Temtem, I'm gonna go give that a shot. Hey, look at that, it's the end of the video. Don't forget to subscribe, and remember that commenting can actually win you a free prize. So until next time, this is Gheeotine saying thanks for watching and keep your head on your shoulders.